Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. All right, let's see what we can do today. So I've been working on adding translation support, localization support to the game, and which has been somewhat of a nightmare because the game was not built with translation support from the beginning, and also there's a bunch of hard-coded strings everywhere, which, you know, I knew that would be a problem, but we are reaping the consequences of that problem now. But I think it's going pretty well. I'll show you the system that I've got in place so far, and then probably just continue on with that today. Just try to get as much of that done as possible. There's a bunch of like interesting problems still to handle, but I'll explain all that in just a minute here. But before I get into it, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting. You can visit the Steam page. It's linked below. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can create your own builds and synergies using alchemy. You can also support me on Patreon. If you subscribe at the top tier here for at least 1 month, I'm going to send you an Alchemortis Steam key when the game launches, and I will list your name in the Alchemortis credits. So this will be a thank you for supporting the development of the game. As I'm doing this full time, and I don't have any other income sources apart from the courses that you all are buying and the Patreon support. So it's definitely appreciated, but you can also, like I said, you can purchase the courses too if you're interested in learning how to build games in the Godot engine. Every little bit helps me out, but also you can, you know, pick up a new skill, learn how to make Godot games like a pro, is what I would say if I was trying to like maximize the marketing. Go from 0 to pro in 30 days with this comprehensive course. It was $400, but now it's $399. I'm just kidding. You could see how cheap the course is here. It's not $400. It's very reasonably priced, especially with the deals that Udemy runs. So anyway, what are we doing? We could say hello to everybody. Hello, Arn Genesis. Welcome. Goob morning. Hello, Mabs Games. Good to see you. Translations are hard, yes, but welcome back. Always good to see you. How many languages have you decided to support? That is to be determined. The main one that's kind of like in my crosshairs is Chinese, because China is a huge market, obviously. But the remaining translations will just come down to, you know, what's available. I don't know what the strategy is going to be just yet. I'm sure that there will be professional translation services for the bigger markets, and then maybe there's a potential for crowdsourced translations for maybe the smaller languages. Smaller in terms of like smaller user base. But we'll see. We will see. The Spider-Man, welcome. Always lurking, saying hello today. Awesome. Well, good to see you. Welcome back. How did you hide that 3D in Asset Lib? You go to editor, editor settings. No. You go to editor, manage editor features, and you can just turn these off here. So you've got the 3D editor. You could turn that on if you want, and that puts the 3D back there, or you could just uncheck it. Uncheck the asset library here. I don't know why that's not working. Oh, there it goes. So what I did is I have a 2D profile here. You can create a profile, and what I did is I turned off basically everything that I don't want from the top bar here, but I also turned off all of the node 3Ds. So I don't see any node 3Ds at all when I'm searching like the node dialog and whatnot. And I also turned off world 3D as well. So yeah, that's a nice little tip to get your editor a little bit more focused. Hello, Monkey Software. Low-key might buy that multiplayer course even though I fear networking. Yeah, it's not that hard. It's a little bit of a different way of thinking about making games, but it's not. After you do it a little bit, you start to get the hang of how to think about it. I was gonna say you have to have Chinese, yeah. Is there a save system in your game? How did you implement it? Yes, there is a save system in my game, and basically the way I implemented it is every major system that needs to persist state just has a save model associated with it or a model, which is the shape of the data associated with it. Let me see if I can bring this up. So we've got the run save model. This is the overall wrapper object for the save. We're saving the current run statistics. We're saving the seeded run, and the seeded run is basically, the random number generator that was used to generate the map, as well as all of the nodes that have been changed on the map, so on and so forth. And then I have board save model for the inventory board. So this just saves, this is a model that saves the cards in the card positions. Then the combat board save model extends that, but has this extra property dimensions because the combat board can change dimensions. Then we've got an artifact save model, which basically just enumerates all the artifacts that you have. Then we have the alchemy state save model, which again, so it's like the pattern here is basically like every major system in the game that needs to persist data has its own like save model associated with it. And then all of those save models get saved under this larger run save model. And then when you're saving, it's just a matter of like running through all of those major systems and saying, okay, give me your save model, give me your save model, give me your save model, and then shoving that into this model here. And then the reverse is true, right? You go the opposite direction when you're loading. So you load the JSON, you parse it, and then you go to each of these major systems and say, okay, update your state in accordance with this model, update your state in accordance with this model, update your state in accordance with this model. So it's very much like a tree, right? You've got like the root of the tree, which is like the broad manager that manages gathering all the state. And then it pushes the save model down to the leaves of the trees. And then the leaf nodes would be the final place where the data needs to be to actually update the state of the game. And it's very simple. And I'm not doing anything complicated. Like I only save the game in certain states where I know that it's safe to save the state, where I won't have to deal with like this in-between state where it's gonna like end up in a bad situation if I save in the middle of that. So that's like how it works in a nutshell. There's a little bit more complexity to it than that, but that's basically how it works. Did I just see Claude? Yeah, I use Claude quite frequently in this project. Claude just edited 96 files for me yesterday. So here, let me show you what I'm doing here. So with the translation stuff, where is that? Resources. Is it in data? No, it's in translations. So I've made this system. I don't even know where to start with this translation stuff, explaining this. So basically there are these PO files, which is the file format for this getText utility. And the getText utility is basically like this little app that is pretty much standard in the translation industry, I guess you could call it, where basically you have IDs for every string, and then you have this string that maps to that ID. So this en.po, this is the English translation file. And so I've got all of these IDs for various strings in the system, and then these are the English, this is the English text for those things. So all I need to do for a translation is I just need to have a different locale file that has the same keys, so these message IDs, right? But with the strings changed to be whatever the local language needs to be. Now, it's a little bit complicated because I still have, for example, string formats and keywords in here that need to be highlighted. So there's a consideration to be made there. But basically, the translator is going to have to move these little string format placeholders, I guess you could say, around in the localized string. And they're going to need to use like the English tag names if they ever want to put like the relic highlighting, right? So, it's possible that in a different language, this relic might need to be moved from here to here, right? Or something like that. It's, it's not a one-to-one word replacement. The grammatical structure may change and all that stuff. So I don't know if the translator is going to be able to do that stuff, but I hope so. And then these little placeholder, these zeros, these are where I insert like the numbers for the descriptions. But the problem is all of my abilities. Let's just look at the. Do we want to look at the skeleton dragon? Maybe we'll look at the hag. No. Incense? Nope. Let's find one. Yeah, so here. So I have a system which is like a fluent ability builder system in my game where I can just define abilities in like a lambda function here. And previously I was just rendering the description with a function. But the problem is I need to get all of the ability text descriptions into the translation file. And I didn't want to do that by hand manually. Like I don't want to have to, every time I create a new ability, go and edit the PO file by hand, right? So I've started building a system of partial where I will generate like an abilities.po file, an artifacts.po file, and a base.po file. And then I will concatenate those all together into the final file. And the nice thing about these artifacts, abilities, etc., is that these are generated with a tool script. Well, it's not technically a tool script. It's that actual node that I run in the game. But basically, in order to make this auto-generatable, I had to refactor all of the descriptions for all of my abilities. So now what they are like is, I already forgot what I was doing, is I provide now the description template. And this is the English template string that will appear in the translation file with the template placeholders, you know, the string format placeholders placed appropriately in there, as well as the keywords placed in there appropriately. And then what I had to do is also add this property, this description template parameters func, which is a lambda that gets evaluated at the time the description is being generated so that it can get the current values of whatever needs to be inserted into the string. So for example, at this 0 position, the value of the value scalar multiplier needs to be inserted there. So under the hood, what's happening here is when I call get description, it's doing a format description. It's calling translate with that translation key, and that translation key is defined here on the ability itself. So this is card, guillotine, dynamic bleed. And then that translation server translate is being called, which basically just says, okay, get the localized string for this key. So if I look now in my en.po and I search for that, it's going to return this, the English version of this. Now you might be saying, well, that's already here. Why do you need to go to the translation server? Because this data here, this description template, this is not actually used during runtime. This is used for the generation of the translation file. So what happens is when I go to generate the translation files, when I say generate ability partial, what I'm doing is I'm instantiating every card in the game, iterating over all of those cards, and then I am pulling out that data to create a PO entry, which is just the ID and the text. And that PO entry ID will be that description translation key. So in that case, it would be this. And then the ability description template, in that case, that would be this, right? But this description template is not actually used in runtime of the game. The translation key is the only thing that's used during runtime. So when we get the description, we say, okay, get the string associated with that key, and then also do a format on that translated string with those description template parameters. So we're invoking that description template parameters function to get the parameters that need to be inserted into the string. And the reason why this needs to be a function is because this value can change, right? I can't just like format the string ahead of time and say that's your description. Because this value can change, it needs to be evaluated every time I need the description. So anyway, why do I bring all that up? This is where I used Claude. So I set up the pattern myself. I updated like 10 or so abilities to be refactored like this. And then I said, okay, Claude, for all of the 177 abilities or whatever in the code base, update them so that they look like this. Take the description out, format it as a template string, then create a translation key that's appropriately named based on the card and whatever, and then also pull out the parameters that were in the string into this template parameters func. And then it ran for like 15 minutes and updated all of those files for me. Otherwise, I would have had to do that all completely manually. So that saved me probably hours of work doing that. But now what I have is a system going forward where, like, look, I'll just delete this PO file here. Delete that PO file. If I go to that translation partial generator now and I run this, that will rebuild that PO file for me. Any day now. So that rebuilds that PO file for me. And we can see that I have no changes in here because it's the same output, but I deleted that file and here it's back, right? So what I've created is a system where I can locate the translations at the point or at the ability definition. And so as I'm building more abilities in the game, I can just build the translation data right into the ability itself and then generate it with a script. Because what I don't want to be in is in a situation where every time I add a new string to the game, I have to manually go and add it to this 900 line translation file, right? This is something that I definitely want to be automated. Not just so that it's easier development-wise for me, but also so that I don't make any mistakes, right? I'm not going to mistype or miscopy a template string ID or a translation string ID. And I can kind of build it incrementally too. So like these partials are here mostly so that I could just check, okay, like are the abilities being generated properly? I know that this file is only abilities, so that's good. Are the artifacts being generated properly? Yes, okay, so that's good. And then the base, these are just like one-off like UI strings and everything that don't need to be automated. So these are just like, you know, the one-off things that I may have to come in and manually update this base file as I add new strings and whatnot to the code base. But that is manageable. And then I wrote my own little functionality here where I can insert the partials into this base by just like using this format and then passing in the string or the resource path to the partial. And what this basically does is this just reads the enabilities.po file and it just inserts the text from that file at this point, and it does the same here. So as I add these translation partials, I'll just add new lines here, and that will continue to build out the base, which will end up creating this final output. So anyway, that's the system that I built. It's not finished yet. I have to do something similar, like I have to do partial for like the card flavor text and the card names and all that stuff now. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work to do still, but I think the system that I've built up here is going in the right direction. The ultimate goal is to make it so that for translations, as I'm adding content to the game, I just need to come and run this translation partial generator, and that will build out the translation file for me, and I don't need to worry about manually updating that. Anyway, yeah, I use it for boring, time-consuming stuff, yeah. Yep, that's right. Hello, Kusei, welcome back. Is this a horror game with SNES feels and more complex? I guess you could say it's kind of like in the horror genre. Oh, I forgot to start the stream on Twitch. Oops. I just missed that whole explanation on Twitch. Oh well. Sorry, Twitch viewers. It's a game about necromancy and alchemy, yeah. It's kind of like horror adjacent. Can your community help with translations? I will figure that out later. I don't know just yet how I'm gonna handle that. It's a little horror, yeah. Thank you, Snupbill, for the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. With the message Yummers. Hello, welcome back. That's very generous. Thank you. What kind of info did you get from the playtest? Did you have a remote crash reporting set up? No, I don't have any remote. I'm not collecting any data automatically from players. So basically, the only feedback that I got from the game is whatever players decided to report to me. I don't have any analytics tracking. I don't have any remote crash reporting. No one reported any crashes, which is good. I think the side effect of moving to the card rendering server, or moving to the rendering server for the cards in the game, is that that one crash that was occasionally happening is no longer happening. So I'm going to call that a win. I don't know why that fixed it, but no one reported any. Oh, I think maybe one person reported a crash, but the nice thing is that with the save system in place, the crashes aren't like, obviously they need to be fixed, but the crashes aren't like game-breaking issues. Like, if your game crashes once in a blue moon, again, I want to fix that. I want to get to the bottom of it, but it's perfectly recoverable because there's a save system now. So your game crashes, you go, oops, that was unfortunate. You reload the game, go right back into your run. You might lose like 10, 15, 30 seconds of progress depending on what was happening, but your run is going to be preserved for the most part. So the save system has made crashes not so severe. I mean, there's a sense in which a crash is severe, just flat out. I understand that, but the point is that the crashes are recoverable now, which lessens the blow a little bit. Just loop the video, go for a nap. Yeah. I enjoyed the last playtest, forgot to leave some feedback in the Discord. That's all right. If you don't have anything to say other than, hey, it was fun, that's perfectly fine. You know, I'm certainly not expecting everyone to leave like 5 paragraphs of feedback, you know? Even if you just pop into the Discord and say, hey, it was fun, but I didn't like this one thing, that's perfectly fine too. Or you could say, hey, I hated the game because of X, Y, and Z. That's also fine, but you will be banned. So, how much do you use testing? I always spend far too much time with DevOps stuff like that. In my current game, I'm trying to be much more lean. I have a couple of tests. I have like one test that is just making, like, just like a sanity check test to make sure that I'm not doing something I shouldn't be doing in the code. And then, what else? I mean, that's it. I mean, I have a CI pipeline for building my game. So if my game ever fails to build, that's like a kind of test failure, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of unit tests or test-driven development for solo projects. Like adding test coverage to this game would be mostly useless. It would be mostly a useless waste of time. There are some systems in the game that have specific like interactions that I would like to create tests for, but because those systems are so complex, creating the test would also be very complex. So I just haven't gotten around to writing tests for those things because it's a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I think it's working as is, so I'm just like, whatever, you know. But I don't generally like doing unit tests or test-driven development for solo projects. It's just, I find that it adds, I guess the problem that I have with it is that it adds more effort and overhead for relatively little benefit. Because like, what's the worst case that happens if your game has a bug? A player reports it and you fix it, right? It's like, are there really that many critical systems in your game where you absolutely need to catch them ahead of time? The answer is probably no, right? You could argue that maybe a save system, especially if you're doing migrations with your save system, maybe that should be tested thoroughly with unit tests. Something that has the potential to actually break somebody's like save or some of their disk persisted data. But something that's like absolutely game breaking is either going to be extremely obvious in testing, or it's going to be on the other extreme, which is that it's so rare that you may not even be able to find it anyway. And if you do find it, then you can just fix it right there. And then is there a point to writing a test to like preventing that from happening again when you've already fixed it, right? Anyway, that's just my opinion. Everyone operates differently, but you know, I know this is not like a, it's not a SaaS app where, you have a billing system where you need to make sure that number one, customers are being billed appropriately, and number two, that customers are not being billed inappropriately, right? So it's like, there's like no quote unquote mission critical systems in the kinds of games that I'm making. It's like if a bug appears, it's going to be relatively minor and I can fix it and then it won't be a problem anymore. Anyway, have I played White Knuckle? I have not. I don't know what that is. Okay. So we need to translate all of these strings now. So the display name for the card, the flavor text for the card. Now the interesting thing here is that I am referencing this display name in a couple of places. So this actually needs to become private. And then I need to do something like public string name. And then we're going to do, this is going to be TR. And we're also going to need to get some keys here. So we're going to do public string name translation key. And then we're going to do public string description translation key. Okay, so we're going to do, we're going to translate based on the name translation key, and then public string description. Let's do I don't know what I want to call flavor. Let's just do localized. Maybe we'll call this localized name and localized flavor text. Okay. Now, what I need to do is I need to make these private. So private string display name, private string flavor text. Now, the reason I'm making these private is because that's going to break everywhere in the game where I'm reading them, and it's going to force me to have to use these translations here. But I do need to build out the translation key. So what we're going to do is we're going to say name translation key is equal to card name id.toUpper invariant. Okay. Description translation key is let's call this flavor text. Translation key, card, flavor text. Now, when we duplicate this, we want to make sure that we want to pass that around as well. Okay. So we've got the name translation key, the flavor text translation key. So these are going to be used when I actually do the generation of the partial. So generate ability partial, generate artifact partial, generate card. Yeah, we'll just call it generate card partial. Private void generate card partial. Do I need to do this? I don't think I need to do this. So we're just going to do for each var ID and card registry dot all IDs. Var resource is equal to card registry dot from ID ID. Okay. And then what we need to do is we need to create a list of PO entries, entries.add, new entry, ID is resource name translation key, resource, no, this needs to be get base display name, get base flavor text. So this needs to be get base display name. Okay. So we've got all those entries then. What I can do is I can say listed entries, or I can just do entries is equal to entries.order by e.id. And then we do create entries file, entries, resources, translations, partial, en cards.po. And we do card translations. So now what I can do is I can grab this and put this in my en base here. Like that, and that should just insert those card translations. Now this is actually not going to build because I made a bunch of properties private, so we need to fix that. Horror climbing game with speed running. That sounds interesting. That sounds interesting. Hello, Royal Munjask. Welcome. Localization time. Good luck. Yeah, it's been a do I even need this? I'm gonna get rid of that log. I actually don't want that. I don't care anymore. Okay. Yeah, the translation stuff is, I mean, the concept of it is not difficult. It's just there's a lot of code to change. Localized name. Am I using this anywhere? Okay, we're gonna get rid of this. I'm just going to clean this up. We're not using this tag self name anywhere, so this can go away. I don't want to use the localized name in the log messages because I'm going to be the one reading the log messages. This is just a tool so we can use the base flavor text. This can be get base display name, get base display name. Actually, I don't think I care about this either. Okay. Hello, Eto, welcome. Malicious Rabbit, welcome back. Neozoid, good to see you. How you doing? Busket. Tedious work, but it's very important. Yeah. Hello, Wooius, welcome. So the main problem here the main problem here is that the pixel font that I'm using does not have special characters. So if you're talking about like German or French or whatever, where they've got, you know, accents, umlauts, that kind of thing, I actually need to find a different font. And then I'm also going to need to find a different font for Chinese. I think what I may do is... yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Okay. I'm also going to fix this really quick. All right, so now I should be able to run that translation partial generator, and we should see a new partial generated for the card resources. Here we go, EN cards. So we've got card flavor text aberration, and then card flavor text abomination. And then if we go to card names now, we got card name aberration, card name abomination, card name acolyte, card name alembic, so on and so forth. So we've got all these translation strings now. Oh, this one is not going to work. So I'm going to need to handle that, because I bet you that this is going to produce an error when I go to load the file. Yeah. So the translation file is broken. It couldn't parse it. Do I do escape? Okay. And then flavor text to mimic is incorrect as well. So one way of fixing this is to like algorithmically make sure that those things are all escaped properly. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think instead what I'm going to do is, since these resources, basically this flavor text is basically just like the English template. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to manually escape that string, so that that string literal just gets put in here, and then it will be automatically escaped. So I'll just configure that myself. This needs to be fixed. Okay, so we're just gonna scroll through here and find all the issues. Executioner's sword. So we'll manually escape that, manually escape that. Flavor text eyeball. Escape that, escape that. Card flavor text fox. Do this, do this. And we've got 2 new lines, so I think I need to do this. /n/n. Okay. Guillotine. So this needs to be here. /n/n backslash /n. So this is a little bit messy, but it's probably easier than trying to come up with an algorithmic way of doing it. Flavor text mimic. Escape this /n/n. Okay. Flavor text pike. Flavor text zombie. Okay, so that should be the last one actually. Okay, so now we can build those translations again. We should have no errors now. I mean, there's an error there, but it should all be fixed. So like if we look at the fox, for instance, we've got, yeah, /n/n. So now we can actually test this in game. So all the flavor text here should be correct. So if I look at the skeleton dragon, oh, those ability explanations are not working. We're gonna have to figure that out. Ability explanation, poison description. Why is that not working? Dragons are seldom seen in life. Rarer still is the sight of one returned from death. Let's add item fox. And then we can check this out. So that's correct now. So this string is going through the translation server now, which is why none of those backslashes are rendering, is because it's reading that string from the translation file. But the nice thing is, like I said, I don't want to be in a situation where I have to edit the translation file by hand myself. So my resources, my abilities, they should be the source of truth about like what the English string is. And then those should be used to generate the translation files. So that way I can do everything through the Godot editor. I can go in and I can change this text and everything. Now there is a step here, which is that I have to remember whenever I change some text to run the translation generator. But I think that's still less friction than, okay, I need to change the, like, I could put like the windmill flavor text key here, right? Flavor text. And then I'd have to go to the translation file and find that and edit it in the translation file. I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to generate everything and have all of my data here on this resource. Hello, use C# for Godot. Isn't GDScript a better choice? Better depends on your personal preference. Better depends on personal preference. As a German, I appreciate having my umlaut and of course the S set. Yeah. Why you have to build a project? Because it's C# code. It has to be built. It has to be compiled. Still interested in helping for the French translation when the time comes. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. How does what work here? I don't know. I don't know how you'll do that, but can do the Brazilian Portuguese translation for you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you everyone for offering to help. I'll see, I'll see what I need and then we'll definitely let you know. Build project stuff in Godot. What are PO files? PO files are it's a format that works with this get text software. It's basically just a way of defining translation strings. So basically, like I have the en.po. This is the English locale. So this is all the English strings, and it's basically like a dictionary, right? You have like the ID of the string, and then you have the text of the string. So if I wanted to do a German translation or a French translation, what I would do is I would put an fr.po here, and I would basically send off the en.po to a translator. And then what the translator would do, the French translator, is they would go in and they would change all of these message strings to be French. And there's software to help with that. Like, you don't need to, you definitely don't need to come in and edit the text. There's like presentation software for like easy developing and easy translation and everything. So yeah, the PO file is basically like, here's all of the strings in the game, and here's the IDs for all those strings. And then the underlying string itself will change based on the translation. So what happens in Godot, like during runtime, is like, let's say you change to French language, it will load up the fr.po file and just change all the text automatically. But all of these keys stay consistent. And so that's how it's going to work. This partial stuff, this is just like a pattern that I created. It's not part of the PO file, but these are just like individual PO files that end up getting concatenated together into this final file. So you see this file is being generated. This is an 1800 line file, translation file, that is being automatically generated by that tool. So yeah, and then this is the final file. So this is the file that I would hand off to a translator to translate. And then I would get back like the fr.po for French. And then I would just put that in my project settings here. Localization, I would just add that translation, that PO file here, and then boom, French is supported, right? Oh, SSET, did you learn German? Yeah, I took 4 years of German in high school, which was many years ago, and I've completely forgotten how to speak it, but I was pretty good at speaking German. I got to the point where I could just give an impromptu presentation in the class for our German teacher. She was actually German. When we were in 4th year of German class, it would be like every day she would just call on random people to get up in front of the class, and you had to give a 5-minute presentation about like what you did that weekend or like something interesting. In German completely, and you weren't allowed to speak any English. I think by the 3rd year, she did not allow any English to be spoken in class at all. So yeah, for an hour a day for 2 years, basically, I was speaking only German. But I completely forgot it, so sorry to say. Which languages will the game have? Yeah, it depends. It depends. I think, Chinese is the most important one, second to English. And then everything else is like, if we can do it, we'll do it. I don't know about the right to left languages, though. I may not support those. The good old days of internationalization. At Amex, the team I was on supported 18 different locales, including RTL. Yeah, it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. And it's like, especially like I'm just a solo developer and I don't have any knowledge of like how any other languages work. So it's like, I don't really know how to be confident that this is going to work. I think what I will do initially, and I want to stress that this is just initially, I'm going to have actual humans do the translation. But I think what I may do is I may just feed this en.po file into like an AI and have it like say, hey, translate all these strings to French and German, just so that I can get an idea of like what that looks like. I want to stress again, that's not going to be the final translation. Those are going to be placeholder translations that are semi-accurate so that I can actually see what they look like in the game. But all the translations are going to be done by humans, so don't worry about that. But I think the AI translation would be useful during development to see like how do the special characters render, right? Are there any situations in the game where the text is like overflowing and I need to fix that, right? Or it could be as simple as, are there any strings that I missed? Are there any English strings that are appearing during the French translation, right? So that's going to be useful. But I've not finished building out the translation file yet, so I need to do that. Hello, Clickertail. That's funny. I worked at a German military university in Hamburg where international students learn. I once had to give an introduction to the university in front of international students. Oh, when I was told it would be new German students, my superior was very surprised when I just held the entire thing in English on the spot. Oh, very nice. Yeah. Being Italian, I'd love my language, but it's fine. Also English for me. Nowadays, know at least how to read English is necessary. I am S at writing, but I watch and listen almost everything in English. You know, I think that's true for most of Europe, which is why I say like English is the most important one, and then Chinese is the second most important one. Because my understanding is that a lot of Europeans do speak English, especially like the younger generation. But that is not necessarily true of China. I think China. So my wife is Chinese and she speaks English obviously because I can talk to her, but you know, her younger relatives are learning English in school, but they're not adults yet. So most adults in China don't speak English is my understanding. So that's why Chinese is important. Hard to verify translations are correct without just having a bunch of people fluent in that language read it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's why, you know, like community sourcing the translations is going to be a potentially good approach, or just using like reputable localizer services, like actual humans who are, you know, proficient in English, and then obviously whatever language they're translating to. Yeah, we'll figure it out, but so what do I still need to translate? I mean, there's a lot. I need to translate the characters now. Oh, and the events as well. Yeah. And the art and the unlock resources. Oh no, I don't need to. Oh, do I need to translate these? Maybe I'll keep those translations. So I basically still need to translate the characters and the event configurations here. And then I also need to translate like the raw text that is in the UI. What else? So the next big thing that I need to, so this translation file, when I add these remaining resources here, is probably going to cover like 70 or 80% of all the strings in the game. So it's like almost there. The next big thing that I need to figure out is like what font I'm going to use for the languages that have special characters. And the other problem too is that the Chinese font obviously has to be different. So I think for China specifically, I may have to like force the game to not be pixel, like crunched pixel viewport scaling. I may need to force it to higher resolution and just use like a standard like Chinese font. Because I was doing some research last night into like Chinese pixel art fonts, and one I found was really good, but the license for commercial use was $1,000. And I'm like, I don't know about that one. Also, the problem with the Chinese pixel art font is that it was not the same size as the font that I'm using currently. So it would have made everything bigger. So yeah, I need to figure it out. That's going to be the next big. And not doing viewport scaling has a bunch of implications too, because like a lot of my shaders rely on the idea that like rely on like the screen size being like 640 by 360. So I'm gonna need to update all the shaders everywhere as well to make sure they look consistent, whether you're doing the high res mode or the low res mode. So yeah, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. Now I need to study. Hope y'all have a good day. All right, thanks for joining, Eto. And hope to see you in the next one. Does this game use some ideas from backpack battles? Yes, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've actually never played backpack battles, but, you know, I've watched stuff about it. Just make your own Chinese pixel font. Yeah, that's good idea. Good idea. That's going to be a game issue for my game eventually, since I have to make custom font for my game. But the game is too early in development for me to think about other language stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's probably fine to release a game in only English on Steam, but you know, I want Alchemortis Mortis to be a good commercial success, and so getting into as many markets as possible from the get-go is going to be important. Hello, Cake Hug. Welcome. Good to see you. All right, so we need to do the characters now. Okay. Anyway, we will do the characters and the events. And then the unlocks. Well, maybe I'll leave the unlocks alone for now. I'm not gonna try to translate absolutely everything. The goal right now is to get the translation in a spot where I can at least swap out the translation and see that taking effect across the game. And then, you know, there are a bunch of remaining issues that need to be solved as well. But I don't think the translation implementation needs to be perfect to start. The main deal is just like setting up the infrastructure for the translations so that as I add new content, I have a pattern in place and I don't, you know, I can just build upon that infrastructure. So yeah, man, what a massive undertaking this has been so far, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and then when I come back, we'll continue on with this translation stuff. And maybe we'll do something fun, like maybe I'll just have the, you know, like I said, do that test placeholder AI translation and see how that works. And then we can maybe see what it looks like in German or French. Oh, wait, we can't because of the accent characters. Well, that's fine. We'll try it. I'm curious to see what that looks like, so I'm gonna try it out, I think. But anyway, I will be right back in just 3 minutes, and we'll continue on. Oops. Bye. All right, I'm back. Did you decide on hiring people with translations? Kind of late with the details. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably hire people, yes. Yeah. Probably will hire people or do community sourcing. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Shirley. Wonderful husband and video game developer. Thank you. That's going straight into the McDonald's fund. Thank you very much. It is a McDonald's day. The stars have aligned. Thank you again. For me, I tried to find similar looking fonts for English, Japanese, Chinese, which limited my selection quite significantly. Then I have another font for some symbols so that the BB code works with them. That font is set as my default in the font variation I have set in the theme. Then I load the EN or CN or JP font next in the array on game launch. Interesting. That font is the default in my font variation I've set in the theme. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I don't actually know how to manage the fonts for different languages. Can we do that through the theme file? Can still ask the AI to remove accents from the French or German translation when doing just to see. I can't wait to see how it will look. Yeah. There's TRN for plurals too. Yeah, I have not needed to use the TRN for plurals yet. But I also haven't finished some of the harder parts. So one of the hardest areas to translate in this game is going to be this board inventory component. So this toQuery string, this constructs an English string. Now I think for the most part this is okay, because what I will do is I will generate the query string with this toQuery string and then output that generation to the translation file, and then I'll just have the translators rewrite that. So instead of dynamically building this string at runtime for every language, I build this string dynamically just for the English translation or just for the base English text, and then I put it into the PO file where the translators can change it. The problem though is that this does have the potential to add like numbers in here. So I actually need to change this to output, like string format placeholders or whatever they're called, as well as return the actual values that need to be put into where those string placeholders are. So anyway, this is one of the more complex areas that I haven't figured out how to translate yet. And with plurals, I am using something called like a description utils. I have like pluralize here. I'm gonna need to replace all instances where I'm using pluralize. Oh, I just realized that this is dynamic too, so this needs to be changed. So there's a little bit more complexity. I'm just kind of like doing the happy path right now, but I need to figure out a way of supporting, like I'd probably need to add something here like plural template or whatever, something like that. And then in my translation partial generator, I'm gonna need to handle generating those context entries, because I think that, I mean, there's a way to do it. It's like called context or something. Let me look it up. PO file plurals. Yeah, so translating plural forms here. So message ID plural, message string 0, message string 1. These are all the same line. These are all the same. Why does it have to be 3 times? I don't understand that. Oh, if this is a number, I don't know. I want to read into this some more, but. Oh, wait. Message string 1 is used when the number ends in 2, 3, 4, but not in 12, 13, 14. And message string 2 is used in all their cases. I see. What? Message string 0 is used when the number ends in 1, but does not end in 11? This must be some like language particular stuff, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna have to just extend my translation generator to support this kind of thing here. I have no idea how that's gonna work, but we'll figure that out later. Why not translate with an AI? I mean, I will do that as for a placeholder, but I don't want to use any AI for the content in this game. So like anything that's actually going to end up being user facing or player facing, I don't want it to be AI. I want it to be human created. I am using AI to help me refactor the code and all that stuff, but that's all hidden, invisible technical workings, right? But whatever ends up in front of the player should be human generated for a number of reasons. One, people don't like when AI generated content is surfaced to them, which is understandable. Two, you know, like the game is already made largely or it's already made entirely in terms of the presentation by my own hand, my own art and everything. All the sound effects and music and everything were created by humans. So it'd feel weird then to tack on like an AI translation on top of that. And also, I don't know if the AI is totally trustworthy when it comes to translation and localization. I don't think it's going to be, it's not going to be as good as if a human did it, right? So, but for placeholder for testing, I'll probably do an AI translation just to see what it works, see what it looks like. But click the arrow next to the font. I think you can save it as a font variation. Font variation. Oh. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to play with that later. I'll have to look at that documentation. Luckily, some languages don't need plurals at all. You can define that kind of thing in the PO file header. Gotcha. Translation, what made you change your mind about that? Mostly the Chinese market is huge, so yeah. Welcome, Emerson, by the way. French people notice when translation is AI generated. Might be due to the tens digit being spelled differently compared to the numbers 20 plus, basically standardized. Are you localizing or translating? I think it's going to be both. So I think a lot of the language in the game is not going to translate over. Like, how do you say alchemize in French or Chinese? Like, is there, because alchemize isn't even a real English word. It's just a word that I made up that makes sense in the context of English because it's extending like English rules. But I don't think alchemize is actually a word. And so I don't expect that word to be directly translatable into other languages. And so that would actually may need to be localized, like some other word or some other way of getting that same point across may need to be used. And then I don't know, I have to do some research, but I may actually need to change some of the art specifically for the Chinese market if the discussion that we were having on Discord is true. So that would be like a more strict like localization where the content is actually being presented differently in the Chinese version versus the other main version of the game. So we'll see, but I don't know. Reason you don't want fallbacks is because you have e.g. Chinese and Japanese, they will use the same code points but have different look for some of them. Gotcha, okay. So you want a different fallback font for JP and CN. Yeah. And we'll figure all this out. Like I said, I don't need to figure all this out right now. The main thing that I'm concerned about is like, let's get the translation infrastructure 80 to 90% of the way there. And then the final like hard cases can be handled, you know, when I get a clearer idea of like how the translations are going to do and what I actually need to do for like a broader localization effort. So yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Anyway, I've been stalling long enough. It's time to generate what? I think I'm going to skip the dummy characters if ID... Actually, I don't think I need the dummy characters anymore. I might just go ahead and delete those, honestly. Yeah, let's just delete these. Because I've got enough characters now to fill out that screen. What the heck are you doing? Okay, this is a nightmare. Okay. So we're gonna need to do the same thing here. Private flavor text. Public string name translation key. Okay, and then we're gonna do public string localized name. I can actually do TR right here, I think, yeah. Flavor text translation key. Okay, so I think that's good. And then in here, ID text is, we need to get base display name. So we're gonna do EN characters, character translations. Okay, and then we copy this. Okay, let's see if that works. Good morning, Ninja Link. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you again. For French, I do think it's just alchemizer. Oh, interesting. All right, let's take a look at that. We'll make sure this is all correct. EN characters, necromancer. So I don't have any strings that I need to escape here, so that's good. Necromancer, courier, priestess, brittle bones. So brittle bones would be a good situation where like that might need to be localized. Like that can't be directly translated, right? So he may need to have like a different name depending on the language. Why is that adding two? I don't like that it's adding two. Let me change this. Maybe I just, oops, maybe I just do this. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll keep it like this, but then I will change this. Maybe it doesn't matter. Just do this. Whatever, it's fine. Doesn't need to be perfect. I don't think the white space makes a difference in these files, but maybe not. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so the characters are in now. Now we got to do the events. Call initialized there. Okay, that one is a little bit simpler, so that's good. Private static read only list string. Okay. Just add some extra helper methods there so I can get this by ID. So this is var ID and all event registry all IDs. Why can't I read that? Oh. From ID, ID. Event config, name translation key, event config, get base name, ordered by ID. En events, event translations, cool. And then I'll take this. En base. Okay. And then this is going to break because I changed some stuff. So this needs to become localized name. Are you using the built-in feature that Godot has with the CSV file? That is for translating scenes, right? So text that is embedded in scenes. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, I think I will be using that, but I'm not doing that yet. Hello, Zevon Art, welcome. Good to see you. Alchemy being prevalent in like fantasy book stories is an interesting thing when considering cross-country locale. Yeah. What goes on? Working on translation support right now. Some translations need context, so there should be a field with comments for translators, especially one-word entries. Different translations will be delivered in different time. Some that will need to be reworked or fixed. You're gonna track that for every language. Yeah, I mean, it'll be fine. I'll extend it as necessary. I will extend it as necessary. Oh, the character definition resource. I don't think I need this is placeholder anymore, which is also going to break, but let's see. So this added those event translations to the file. This is probably going to break now. Actually, am I going to need this anymore? I may not need this. Yeah, I can just remove this from there and regenerate the translation. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, let's do this. Let's just throw a garbage AI translation in. Translate the ENPO file to French and save it in resources/translations. I don't know why I'm using French specifically, but again, for the people that are just tuning in, I'm not going to do AI translations for the game. That's not happening. All I'm doing is I'm generating an AI generated translation file just to see what it looks like in game. All the translations are going to be done by humans, so no worries there. I'm just, I just want to see what it looks like. This will also be helpful for identifying which English strings are not being translated currently. All right, Claude, take your time. Anyway, so the next big thing to figure out is fonts, which is going to necessitate well, let me think about this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out fonts. The Chinese font is gonna probably be the most complicated one because, like I said, I'm gonna need to change a bunch of how the game is rendered because I'm gonna use the canvas items. Actually, I wonder what happens if let's just go to display, stretch mode. Let's do canvas items. What does this look like? Have you a range of languages you're going to translate or not yet? Chinese for sure. I don't know about anything else in particular. So yeah, you see how this... Oh, so it's a problem with canvas shaders specifically. So the outline shader is the proper thickness here. Oh, my light shader is wrong too. And my lines are wrong. I think the fog of war is wrong as well. But it looks okay for the most part. But see how this line here is like super thin? So I need to make sure that that's like maintaining the pixel size consistency. But for the most part, everything looks fine. I need to figure out these ability explanations. So it's just a couple of shader effects that are problematic here. But I think what I'm going to have to do is disable the chunky pixel rendering so that I can do higher resolution Chinese font here. Because you can use, like, so I could set the font to 9 pixels tall, which is what I'm using here. But I think you can use something like font oversampling to make it render real crisp. Because I did something similar in another game of mine. I don't remember. I don't remember why I did that, but yeah. So I can set the font size so that it's relatively the same size for Chinese, but then render it crisply. So it probably won't be a pixel font, so it'll look maybe a little bit out of place. But I suppose if all the fonts in the game end up changing to that Chinese font, then it will look consistent. Oh, the combat log translations are going to be a pain in the rear. I forgot about the combat log. Oh. It's okay. Anyway, let's see what's going on here. Are you still translating? Come on. Probably put stream text somewhere so you don't have to repeat yourself with all the AI translation. Oh, that's okay. It's all right. Make an unknown language, replace every string with, yeah. I mean, one thing I could do is I could, maybe a more obvious thing to do is to like have the AI translate the English to Pig Latin. And so that way, like, people kind of get the understanding that, like, obviously Pig Latin is not going to be a language in the game. Maybe I should do that instead. I should have asked it to translate it to Pig Latin. Oh well, it's fine. Is this Claude VS Code extension, and why Claude specifically? I think Claude is the best LLM available on the market right now. It's very, very good. And yes, it is the VS Code extension. Some languages are pretty long in words. I'm looking at you, German language, yeah. I think there are pixel art fonts that work with Chinese. There are. It's just that the ones that are nice, like they have a license. Like they're not. It's hard to find a Chinese pixel art font that is not, like, does not have a license fee for commercial use. At least from my cursory research last night. I found a really nice one, but it was $1,000 to use it for commercial projects. Which, at the end of the day, like, if supporting the Chinese language is going to make me more than $1,000 in the Chinese market, then that'd be worth it, right? But the other problem with that one, though, is that the pixel art font size was larger than the font size I'm currently using, so that's still a problem. Okay, anyway, how am I actually going to set the locale here? Application config. I have to add localized names as well. How do I actually change the language? Let's take a look at that first. It's also possible to instruct Godot to use alternate versions of assets depending on the current language. This can be used for localizing images. Oh, that's nice. Dynamic font fallback system instead. Oh, somebody said not to use the fallback system. Translation server set locale. Okay. So if I do, let's just do inside of data initializer. We're not going to do British English, sorry. You speak American in this house. English in Germany. Oh, interesting. I wonder if that affects how... The other thing I might have to do probably is change... probably going to have to change how numbers are presented. Like to use like commas instead of decimal points. I think C# supports that though, so I think it would just be a matter of synchronizing the C# locale with whatever's set in the game. Format number. I don't think I can. I think I can use the C# locale settings for that. I don't think I need to do that. Oh, I could do the test locale there. Oh, I see. Okay, so internationalization, rendering, locale test. Ah. There's no search box on this? There's Cherokee? I'm sorry, I'm not translating the game to Cherokee. That's kind of fun, though. Why are these not in alphabetical order? Oh, are they in alphabetical? Oh, they're in alphabetical order by the code. Okay, let's see. Okay. And then the fallback. Okay, that makes sense. What is this? Anyway. Small beans in the end. I'm curious how off the French translation is going to be. Wish you had chosen Portuguese so I could judge for myself. I heard people in Asia region don't get access to discussion boards on Steam, and that's why they leave negative reviews. I don't know about that. What I don't understand, though, is why does Steam show you the aggregated score from all of the regions? Because I was looking at Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire has mixed reviews, but if you just look at like the English reviews, it's like very positive or overwhelmingly positive. And so it's like, I'm wondering why doesn't Steam just localize the reviews? Like, why do I, if I'm in America and other Americans are enjoying this game, and then like, you know, Japan or China or India or somewhere in Asia is not enjoying the game, why would that be relevant to me? You know, like there may be a cultural reason why they don't like the game, or they have certain expectations that are different than mine, right? So I don't know why Steam doesn't just like show you the region. And maybe it's a setting on Steam. I didn't look that hard, but I guess I don't understand why Steam just doesn't show you like the reviews only for your region. Because I think, I mean, let's make sure I didn't make all that up. So I look at Slay the Spire 2. Oh yeah, so it does have English reviews here. So recent reviews is mixed, but English reviews is very positive. I guess I missed that there, but see, that's, I don't know, it seems kind of unfair to me, right? Because it's like, when I go to the Steam page and I see this orange or yellow mixed thing, I'm like, oh, I don't want to buy this game, right? I'm not going to look at the second line and be like, oh, but English speakers. I'm just going to see mixed and be like, oh, it must not be ready. I'm not going to buy it, right? What model in Claude? I think I'm just using Sonnet right now. I can't report bugs, but I see people add a built-in report system. Gotcha. This is taking quite a while. I didn't think it was going to take this long. Come on, translate the file. This is the last thing that I want to see. I'm going to turn that display settings back. Anyway, how's everyone's days going? So after we see what this looks like, I'm going to fix the ability descriptions. I don't know why those aren't working. Why is this taking so long? I mean, I guess it is kind of a lot of text, but still. Hello, Jackie Daytona. I don't know what that says. I hope it doesn't say anything bad. Don't ban me, YouTube, please. Thank you. And Twitch. Oh, here we go. All right, so we have a French translation now. Let's see what happens. It's Japanese 4. It's time for game to once again. Oh, I probably should have guessed that. I probably should have guessed that. All right, let's see. It is not working. Oh, I forgot to add the translation file, that's why. It's still not working. Dragon Squeletta. Why is it not working though? I don't understand. So it's just not translating the French. Here comes the cat. Here comes the cat. Come here. Is the header of the PO file right? Maybe not. Let's see. I think so. I mean, I don't have all this extra metadata, but I don't think that's necessary. Is that model available in free tier? I don't know. I'm sorry. I can read French. Breaking is progress. Yeah. Language. Does that need to be there? I mean, we could try it. I figured Godot would infer that from the name of the file. But let's see. Oh, that did work. Very nice. So does that mean I need to do that for the en base? En. Interesting. Okay. So that did work. So any character that has an accent is rendering as that thing. Oh yeah, this is not good. It's okay. Emplacement de Vita. I can see. Oh, feu. There's fire, right? Poisson. Serviteur. Oh, I kind of like how minions are called serviteurs. Projeta. Interesting. Alchemy. Well, the translation is working though. It's not working here, so I can look at wherever the bouton de crâne. I'm having too much fun with this, honestly. So there's a bunch of places, but those names. Wait a minute. Really, it's just combat in French? I don't know. I'm not going to rely on the AI translation too much, obviously, but my main concern is like anywhere where I see an English word is somewhere that's not being translated. So now this font here has the accents. It's just the main like display font that I'm using does not show the accents. Contain poison arm But hey, all my keywords are working, it seems. Let's do... So all the abilities are translated. Let me see if, so let me do this. I want to make sure that the strings are working when I have dynamically changing things. So if I do add item, Iron Maiden 5. Yeah, so you see how that's 8 blood there, and that's 4 blood. This is not working though, I don't think. The projected ability is not scaling properly. So it looks like the projected ability description is not being... It's not being scaled properly, or it's being scaled properly under the hood, that's for sure. It's just, it's not surfacing the proper number in the description. I should probably make sure that's the case before I make too many assumptions here. Lifesteal. Oh, oh wait, maybe this is just an issue. No, projected ability scale for tier. Projected ability get description. So lifesteal. Let's see. Let's turn this back to, we'll just make that blank. I want to see if that's an issue with the translation or if it's an issue with the game itself. Actually, I guess I'm not going to be able to tell. Well, I will be able to tell. If I go to my game debug, I do training dummy, generate test map, test player cards. Doesn't sound too weird, it's def playable. Interesting. Translation looks decent. Okay. That's good. Do you think it would be good for a beginner to just follow a YouTube tutorial to learn a Godot engine and build my own? And just build on my own and use Google and Documents and what you recommend, GDScript from zero? Yeah, I mean, getting some tutorials done. Getting some tutorials done so you can get the hang of things and then going off and learning on your own by building your own thing is definitely a good way of doing it. Oh gosh. Why are those not being translated? Oh, I don't think... I have no idea why that's not being translated. Anyway. Wait, this is not even working. It's not projecting the ability at all. I don't think that broke as a result of my translation work. Did I break that? It's not projecting. Do any of my other projection abilities work? Yeah, that works. Why is it not working here? There must be a problem. There must be a problem with Iron Maiden specifically. I'll have to look at that. Let me write that down as a bug here. Iron Maiden ability is not being projected and not scaling. That's a little bit concerning. I don't think that's the result of my translation changes, but it could be, so that's a problem. The debug console is nice. Is that a Godot thing, or did you make it? I made it myself, yeah. What's that large rectangle with numbers and letters? Yeah, that's the character that gets replaced when there's no glyph in the font for that character. Yeah. Is that supposed to be weapons, not items? It is supposed to be weapons. Oh, maybe that's what's happening. Oh, you know what? I think the ability project is being clobbered, that's why. Oh. Yes, the problem is there's a lot of conditionality in how this projectability works, but it's all resolving to the same translation key. So it just ends up getting clobbered. So my guess is whatever the last projectability that's processed in the translation is being written to the translation file. This actually needs to be a unique key based on the like the parameters that are used in like the query target parameters. Or I can make it a key based on like which card it's coming from. Okay. So that's what's happening. Okay. So I'll fix that. So that means that the Iron Maiden, I mean, it's probably not. It's probably still working, actually. I think it's maybe just the translation string that's wrong. Iron Maiden is supposed to protect weapons, not just items. Good catch, good catch. Do you have a tag filter? You have a tag filter weapon, yeah. Yeah, it's obsidian with the Kanban plugin. Yep, that's right. Okay. Well, I am relatively happy with with how the translation is looking, I still have to figure out the fonts. I have to fix these issues with abilities. Probably need to look through the abilities and see what else is being clobbered. But generally speaking, it's okay. I mean, it's like there's a bunch of places that still need to be translated, but I think, yeah, generally speaking, it's okay. You're welcome. Always something. Yeah, it's always something. That's right. That's definitely true. Okay, well, I think that will be it for the stream for now. I hope this foray into translation was interesting for you all. For the Twitch viewers, I did an explanation at the beginning of the stream where I kind of went over how the system works. Unfortunately, I forgot to start streaming on Twitch, so you'll only be able to find that explanation on YouTube. So if you're interested, I spent the first 10 or 15 minutes of the stream explaining the system that I set up. So if you would find that useful, you'd have to head over to YouTube to see that. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be it for the stream for now. I'm going to try to get most of this translation stuff wrapped up today, and then we can go back to doing other gameplay-oriented content stuff tomorrow. But yeah, Wishless Alchemortis if you're interested. It's a dark fantasy roguelike auto battler where you can use alchemy to create your own builds and synergies. I would appreciate a wish list. You can also join the Discord, support on Patreon, like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow on Twitch, all that good stuff. And yeah, thanks again everyone for watching. I appreciate it. I'll be back at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, so I hope to see you there. Have a good day, and thank you for your support, and bye-bye for now.